The real precipitation must be at least 3 generations or even more than 4 generations. Only after several generations of precipitation can the family cultivate true aristocratic qualities. In Orus Hill, there is only one woman with such a temperament, Warnya. And the temperament of Sarah was even better than Warnya. Charlie put away his surprise, looked at the 2 women with a slight smile, and said a little apologetically, "I'm sorry you two, something has delayed me today. You two have been waiting for a long time." Sarah plucked up the courage to ask him, Your name is Charlie?" Charlie nodded. "Yes, what's the matter? What's wrong with Miss Sarah?" Sarah pointed at herself, staring at him with beautiful eyes and asked, "Do you remember me?" When these words came out, the other 3 people including Charlie were all stunned. Liang and August were a little surprised. Could it be that Sarah knew Charlie? Charlie was also very surprised. It is said that this Sarah is a big star from Eastcliff. Does she know him? However, it seems something is not right. I had already left Eastcliff when I was 8 years old. Looking at Sarah, I feel that I should be 1 or 2 years younger than her, which means that when I left Eastcliff, Sarah was at most 2-3 years old. How could she know him? He has no impression of her. How could she know him? However, from the look in Sarah's eyes, Charlie could guess that she must have recognized him. Moreover, she is from Eastcliff and he has never been back to Eastcliff for so many years. From this, it can be guessed that she knew him in Eastcliff. In other words, Sarah knew that he was the Wade family man. At this moment, Charlie couldn't help but frowned, took a deep look at Sarah, and smiled. Miss Sarah should be taking me for the wrong person. How could be? Sarah blurted out, "It's impossible to admit your mistakes. You still have a temperament in your facial features, and I can still see how you felt when you were a child." Charlie was even more surprised, but he resolutely said, "It's impossible. I've been an orphan since I was a child. I grew up in an orphanage." "How could you know me?" Sarah wanted to say something, but seeing Charlie's eyes seemed to warn herself, she sighed and said, "Maybe I am really making a mistake. He looks so much like a childhood friend of mine. He has been missing for many years." Charlie nodded, and said with a smile, "The world is so big, the 2 look a bit like each other, so normal." Sarah followed his words and nodded and said, "Mr. Charlie is right." Liang and August on the side didn't think much about it. Liang made an introduction to Charlie. "Master, let me introduce you. The person in front of you is the big star from Eastcliff, Miss Sarah Gu, and next to her is Miss Sarah's agent Ms. August." Charlie nodded, and said politely, "Miss Sarah, Ms. August, the 2 of them have come to Orus Hill for a long time. The arrival of the 2 makes JX Pharmaceuticals' brilliance." August snorted. "Wade always, right? You are a bit too fake to say this. Since we are here and make you feel bright, why are you unwilling to give us a bit of JX Wizen?" Sarah's spleen and stomach have always been discomforted. "If we want a few packs of medicine to take, you are not willing to give it. You are still telling me about patents. Is it fair?" When Charlie heard August's words, he couldn't help but smile indifferently. "Because JXYZN has not yet been listed, we will have some security measures more or less. This is basically the case in the pharmaceutical industry practices." Sarah said apologetically, "I'm really sorry, Mr. Charlie, I shouldn't make such an unreasonable request. It's just because I went abroad to film a movie some time ago, hurt my spleen and stomach, took a lot of medicine, but it failed to cure until I took your powder. I have made a significant improvement, but the effect of the medicine has passed, so I am a little bit eager for medicine now." Charlie nodded, took a pack of JXYZN from the production line that had just been packaged, handed it to Sarah, and said with a smile, "Since Miss Sarah has this need, then we naturally have to meet it. Take this package." "Thank you," Sarah said, reaching out to take the stomach powder that was waiting, and she couldn't wait to take it down on the spot. Almost immediately after taking the medicine, she felt her stomach feel better. At this time, Charlie asked her, "Miss Sarah, I wonder what your impression of our JX pharmaceutical is." Sarah nodded and said, "I think it's pretty good. It is indeed the look and style that a large company should have." Charlie asked, "There is basically no problem with the endorsement matter?" Sarah gave a hum, nodded lightly, and said, "There is no problem with endorsements. You can sign a contract at any time. After the contract is signed, you can start advertising." Charlie smiled and said, "That's great. In that case, let's finish the contract process today." "Okay, Mr. Charlie." Sarah said to the agent August on the side, "August, you can leave the contract with Mr. Liang. You can sign the contract on my behalf." August nodded. "Okay, Sarah, leave the contract to me. You should take a rest first. Your spleen and stomach are not feeling well, so today you have been running around all day." "Okay." Sarah looked at Charlie, smiled, and said, "Mr. Charlie, let August and Mr. Liang sort out the contract process. How about finding a place to sit and have a cup of tea?" Charlie knew that Sarah definitely wanted to chat with him in private. "I also look forward to her being able to solve the puzzle about whether the two have known each other before." Liang on the side said, "Master, why don't you take Miss Sarah to Chairman's office for a cup of tea and have a chat? I will have someone decorate your office specially for you, and there will be good tea inside and tea set." Charlie nodded and made a please gesture to Sarah. "Miss Sarah, then please move to the office to talk." Sarah's cold expression suddenly burst into a girlish smile, nodded slightly, and walked to office with Charlie. In fact, Charlie rarely came to JX Pharmaceutical, especially in the newly renovated chairman's office. He never came.